People, great Biafrans. I greet each and every one of you that might have time to join me on this very emergency program. It is a tradition for us to always come up to give our brethren and brothers an update. Kwa ihe na-eme ka ha nwee ike wee mara ihe na-eme. Maka na ọ bụ na anyị na-anya kịta n'ụwa anyị afọ ife na-eme na Niger Republic. Ihe na-eme na Niger Republic ma Burkina Faso, Mali, etc., etc. It is that map of a colonization. That is why we say that n'ihe anụnwa na-eme kịta anụnwa abụrụ in our own favor. Because etelugbo etelogori on the Fulani bụ ihe na-emeri. Nigeria disintegrated, that is the only way anyị nwere onwe anyị ga-eji eme gịnị wee sị na anyị emeriela. Mana in terms of this war na-afịọ kịta anụnwa ndị Fulani bụ ndị jide mma na Nigeria. Ha nwere onwe fa bụ ndị nọ na military. Now, going for today's program, we're here to bring some updates in reference of the program that we did yesterday concerning the way that the African leaders or so-called African leaders are the puppets in the hands of the Westerners. The program we did yesterday revealed that all the sufferings of the people in Africa, let us start from the damnable Zoological Republic of Nigeria. All the diseases, all the hardship, everything that has been happening to the people, the corruption, are all projected by the Westerners. And today, I come across a video. And this very video explained how the Westerners manipulated the so-called presidents of Africa, 6 presidents, during the time of the conflict of the Libya. They were actually going to Libya in order to quench the situation so that things will begin work well. But then NATO ordered these 6 presidents from African country for them to turn back. So when you hear that insurgency, Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, this and that, these are the people that projected those things in order to put fear in the hearts and minds of Africans. So if I begin to tell you that whatever Fulanis are doing or planning to take over Africa, they are in support. But what they don't know is this: the mindset of the Fulanis, when they actually capture the whole Africa, what will be the end game? The reason why I'm saying this is because I want our people to begin to see that whatever that is happening in any part of the continent of Africa today by the coup against the so-called democratic presidents, it is not in the favor of we, the indigenous people of Africa. Because the Westerners, if I'm telling you that Westerners are supporting this coup, you will not believe. You understand what I'm saying now? If I'm telling you that they are, because they will always find a way in order to make sure that the whole thing is on their own favor. That is why they will never allow people to listen to us, or unlike the program that we did yesterday, when we exposed what a professor was saying, that all the sickness, all the poverty inflating on Africa, it is their own doing. That is a backup program I'm supposed to do from a follow-up confession from that very program. But this one, it is very, very important in order to confirm what we did yesterday. So the first video that I'm going to show right now, it's a video from one of the presidents in African continent in regards of the issue, what is happening today in Niger Republic. But let us remember, Biafra is the only way that the people can truly be free. Biafra restoration under Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Biafra restoration for Mazen Nnamdi Kanu to be released unconditionally. That is the only way that we can be able to be free. So we need to support one another for the quest and the ideology of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. That is the fact. That is a fact. Now, let me take you to this very video so that you can hear for yourself how this president told his fellow cabinet that this is the game that the Westerners played during the time of Gaddafi. And for you to see and confirm that what we've been saying, that whatever that is happening, the sickness, the hardship, and etc., etc., was all projected by these people. Take a look.
The whole of the African Union gave that committee a mandate to look for a solution for the Libyan problem. Now, on one occasion, I didn't go that time. These excellencies, this one here, Jacob Zuma, and the others, I was not there, but my minister was among them. They entered a plane in Nouakchott, in his place. They were going to Libya to mediate. And they were told by NATO to go back. Yes.
Do we listen to that? During the time of problem in NATO, because the Westerners made the people of Libya to believe that Gaddafi is a tyranny against the people. But actually, their fear is that Gaddafi was actually trying to unite the whole Africa, was trying to make Africa great in the sense that we can now be industrialized in the whole of African countries, that we can now make and decide how we are going to sell our resources, how we are going to make it gold, make it gold, in a sense that when the Westerners come to purchase our products, they have to use their dollars and euros to buy that gold in exchange. Just like what is happening today. That once, if you want to go to the Western, in order to purchase goods and the rest of them, you need to change your currency into dollar before you can be able to do business. This is exactly what Gaddafi was trying to do, to turn the table around so that the Africans will have their truly position and be respected by the Westerners. So that become a problem. And that is why they set him up and killed him. Now, what this man is saying here, because he's one of the leaders, these are one of the puppets that are being controlled by the Westerners. They were asked to go back. They were asked not to interfere in the problem of Africa. They were asked not to save their own brothers. They were asked not to do anything. Because of what? Because each and every one of them are in their pockets. One way or the other, they have committed a crime that they will use this very crime. And when I'm talking about crime, I'm talking about killings and the corruption. They use it in order to hold them so that they can now be controlling them, removing them, telling them what to do and what not to do. You understand what I'm saying now? I want you to take a listen so that we can go to the next one.
They were going to Libya to mediate. And they were told by NATO to go back. Yes. Said, you go back. Yes, he's here. If I'm telling lies, African presidents on an African mission over African soil were ordered by NATO to go back. That NATO has not allowed them to land in Libya.
African president. Ụmụnne m, ka anyị na-aghọta ife na-eme o. Ka anyị na-aghọta maka na ọ bụrụ na anyị na-agwa ndị be anyị sị ha na obodo ekwensu anụnwa anyị nọ n'ime ihe abụrụ for us. Onye ọbụla ga-abịa ka ọzọ ọchịchị. Ọ bụ na onye ahụ nwere support from the West, the person amaligolo. They rather put a criminal in that seat. They rather put a crook in that seat. They rather put somebody that can be able to manipulate in that very seat. This is exactly what is happening. This is how each and every one of them got into power, because it is part of the agreement that they signed. You know what I'm saying now? Now, when issues occur in terms of war in African soil, that without their permission, they cannot be able to do anything. So they take a decision on their own. What I'm saying is true because they know it. Each and every one of them know it. This is part of the agreement that they signed. If anything to happen in African country, they will not intervene without the permission of the Western world. Which, of course, if that thing goes against their own interest, that is where you are going to see them, force them to speak. This is why you see Bola Ahmed Tinubu call all the ECOWAS in the zoo Nigeria and give a 7-day ultimatum to Niger Republic that they are going to retaliate because each and every one of them are scared. Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not do that on his own. He was ordered because this is part of the things. And they will remind him that if you don't do it, we are going to release the information containing the criminality that you've committed in the United States of America. All the money launderers, all the drug cases, kidnap, we are going to release it. So each and every one of them are in their pocket. So we need to begin to understand that Biafra movement is the only thing that can be able to save Africa. You can never trust any coup that is going on against any sitting government. Myself, will not and can never trust it. For the fact of what we are seeing in the zoo Nigeria. For the fact that what we have seen in the zoo Nigeria. Some of us remember during the time of regime of the dead Buhari. Immediately he came into power when Goodluck Jonathan was trying to eradicate and wipe out anything that had to do with Boko Haram. He went out of his way to go and solicit for help. What did they say? That any attack on Boko Haram is an attack on the North. Immediately, Buhari came into power. He stopped any connection, any effort that had been put in place, including the foreign mercenaries that were supposed to wipe out the insurgency. Who is giving that order? Is it not the West? Because they are the people that are sponsoring it. The only thing that they don't have in hand in is Biafra restoration. I want our people to understand what we are talking about. The only thing or the only man that they cannot be able to corrupt is Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. That is why Mazen Nnamdi Kanu still remains in the DSS dungeon, despite the fact all the cases that have been discharged and acquitted him, he has committed no crime, but they still hold him because they gave him condition. They want Mazen Nnamdi Kanu to be one of their puppets, but Mazen Nnamdi Kanu say no, release me. The court has discharged me. I want our people to know that anything that have to, when anything they say democracy, it is just a mere fallacy. There is nothing like democracy. There is nothing like true democracy. You also say now, a true democracy in our adage is bilu can bilu. Live, let me live. You don't disturb me, I don't disturb you. As long as that we all are doing things according to the law of the land. That is the true democracy. You also say now. So all these people are being controlled. Each and every one of them are being controlled by the West. So the West must tell them what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. If those things backfire, who is going to fall against those leaders of South Africa? This is the reason why you see that this man here coming out here to make a confession. Because they know that what is happening in Niger Republic is going to come after each and every one of them. They know that. They know that. He have come out to say it to confirm what we said or the program that we did yesterday. So he's not coming here in a sense that he wants to, he truly meant what he's saying. But he is saying it because they are on a 50-50 chances. Niger have succeeded. The next people or the next country will be where? Maybe in Nigeria. I don't even know what I'm saying now. And that is where I have a problem. That is where I have a problem. Any coup going around, I don't trust it. Because anything that is happening, the Westerners, Americans, one way or the other, they are going to send their lobby. They have a lobby firm. Americans have a what they call good cop and bad cop. When bad cop intimidates you and you know you're right, you stand your right and you know your law, then you see the good cop will come in the other way to settle the matter. That is why they have a lobby firm. They will go and lobby diplomatically. So I want our people to understand this. The only thing that they don't have hand in is what? Is Biafra restoration. Is Biafra restoration. Because in this very movement, if you are dealing with a politician, if you are dining and whining with a politician, you are a puppet. You are a puppet to the Westerner. Anybody that is dining and whining with a politician under Nigeria, and you call yourself a Biafran, or you call yourself a Biafran freedom fighter, you are a puppet to the Westerners, because they will send somebody to come and lobby. They will send somebody to come and give you money. If it is money that you want, they will give you money. It is that corruption. What do you think that we are talking about? What do you think that I'm talking about? What do you think that I'm talking about? That is how the corruption starts. It has to start little by little, little by little, little by little, little by little. They will send somebody. Tomorrow they are going to tell you what to do. If you don't do it, they will now open your book as a legal. They will not tell you that on social date, social person was contacted by you and you were given social amount. This is the proof. This is the proof. If you don't do what we ask you to do, we are going to expose you. That is how it started. So what you see here by this so-called president of the African nation is not just coming out here because if eventually they succeeded one way or the other to dialogue, to quench what is happening, you will still see them go and be licking their boots. That is why we need to remain consistent and determined. He is making a confession. What you saw, most of you have seen this video. What you are seeing is a confession. But that confession, osie no be where pota. Of course, Osira no be. On answer no. I no Osira no be. On answer no. No chalo ko chegaria. The confession is not that he wants to truly repent, because all of them have a skeleton in their cupboard. That is why Nju si onye mmanụ nke mmelu mwa mazọ nke magadele nwa Chineke. Ya mee gịnị? Ya pụta ka okwe. Onye mmanụ nke mmelu ya pụta ka okwe. Let's continue.
Over African soil, we are ordered by NATO to go back.
Look at their faces.
That NATO has not allowed them to land in Libya. Now, we call this in Swahili, dharau. Contempt. This is contempt.
Look at your faces.
So now you can weigh yourselves now. Your presidents were ordered by NATO. 6 of them, not one. If it was only 7, maybe you could say. Six excellencies, African excellencies, were ordered, go back.
I don't know if our people understand. I'm not going to buy an agota. Six presidents in African continent ordered by NATO to go back wherever they are coming from, because they were not authorized to go for that very mission. So when you tell me that there is an uprising and people are supporting it, because when you go to the Mali, when you go to Niger, people are supporting it. People supported it. And they are still supporting it. You understand what I'm saying now? They are still supporting it. But they don't really know what is behind it. They don't really know what is behind it. To myself and millions of the Africans, we don't support that. We don't support that. We don't support that. You see this is very cool. You see this very cool? I don't support it because it is not in our own favor. The Nigerian army and military is controlled by the Fulanis. The Fulanis will be very much happy to go and support Niger, because once they do that, they are going to come and slaughter all the Christians. Who is talking about democracy? Who is talking about constitution? If that thing, if they succeed, they are going to slaughter Christians, Biafrans. That is why we need to get prepared. We need to get prepared. We need to put our eyes on the ball. We forget about any differences. Whatever anybody have done, unless if those people are still doing those things, then it becomes our problem. You know what I'm saying now? I'm not saying that we should forget about them or anybody that is committing against. If they truly repent and they are working toward the restoration of Biafra, let them be. Let them be. Let them be. But if something that is going on and you saw something, you say something, you saw something, you say something. Makanas na okwu na-aga warawara. Anya na-aga warawara na afia. Anya na-achukwu ife anyị na-achụ. If I see something right now, I will say something. Anya na-achukwu ife anyị na-achụ. Because it's part of the evidence. It's part of the evidence. If you have an evidence and you see something, you say something. You say something. So the benefit of doubt is this. You made it to our own dialect. When you're not so bad, don't wait faithful. And you're not to because Biafra restitution is more important than any other thing. And we must be whiter than white and whiter than snow. We must be whiter than white and whiter than snow. This is live presentation. It's an emergency program because I come across this very video and I say, no, I really want to.
Over Africa. Now, these fellows didn't listen to us. They continued. They killed Gaddafi. Now Libya is in tatters. Up to today. And the problem did not only end in Libya, it went into Mali. It has gone now into Chad. The whole area is in flames. Egypt, yes. So now you see where you are. You were weak. Because of your weakness, you are colonized.
Let's take it back again. Let us take it back again.
Of the African Union gave that committee a mandate to look for a solution for the Libyan problem. Now, on one occasion, I didn't go that time. These excellencies, this one here, Jacob Zuma, and the others, I was not there, but my minister was among them. They entered a plane in Nouakchott in his place. They were going to Libya to mediate. And they were told by NATO to go back. Yes. Said, you go back. Yes, he's here. If I'm telling you lies, African presidents on an African mission over African soil were ordered by NATO to go back. That NATO has not allowed them to land in Libya. Now, we call this in Swahili dharau, contempt. This is contempt. So now you can weigh yourselves now. Your presidents were ordered by NATO. 6 of them, not one. If it was only 7, maybe you could say. Six excellencies African excellencies were ordered, go back. Over Africa. Now, these fellows didn't listen to us. They continued. They killed Gaddafi. Now Libya is in tatters, up to today. And the problem did not only end in Libya, it went into Mali, it has gone now into Chad. The whole area is in flames. Egypt, yes. So now you see where you are. You were weak. Because of your weakness, you are colonized.
Now, they are afraid. That is why they're making this very confession. The confession that you are seeing, it is not genuine. It is not genuine. It is not genuine. It is not genuine. Now, talking about Niger, I want us to see this very video, the people of Niger rejecting the threat from Tinubu, rejecting the threat from Tinubu, rejecting the threat from Tinubu. Let's look at this very video. Let us look at this very video. Let us look at this very video. We are bringing this up so that our people can really understand that we need to focus our mindset on Biafra restoration, because that is the only true freedom that we can be able to have and liberate every other African, including Niger, including Mali, every other African, because this coup, I don't support it. Somebody is somewhere lobbying on behalf of America, on behalf of Europe, etc., etc. Somebody is lobbying. So we need to understand this. We need to understand this. But the people are chanting, they are supporting it. You also say now, they are supporting it because it is their will. But it is we that know exactly what we want and what Africa wants. Now let's take a look at this. This is from the people of Niger. This is from the people of Niger. Now, backing it up, let me show you another video. Let me show you another video where the military have actually come in the Niger to support. You see? So this is it, my people. This is exactly what is happening. This is exactly what is happening. This is exactly what is happening. Now, let us take a look at this very analysis. Let's take a look at this very analysis so that we can also see it and understand some of the things that we have been analyzing, that the people actually know that yes, indeed, the people deserve the chance to decide what they want. People deserve the chance to deserve and to say what they want. You know what I'm saying now? The people of Biafra, the people of Biafra, the people of Biafra deserve the chance to do what? To determine what they want. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This is still about the issue of Niger, but here you can see the analysis from here, how the Westerners have been manipulating the so-called African leaders, how the Westerners are supporting insurgency, terrorism. In other words, they want Africa to remain the way it is so that they can be milking us, taking our resources, while they leave us at abject poverty.
Dr. Victor Hai joins us now to discuss recent developments in Niger Republic. He will also look at how far ECOWAS can go without the support of the two nations. Good to have you, Dr. Hai. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you. Now, were you taken aback when you saw the demonstrations today by hundreds of people who are actually backing the coup in Niger? They gathered for a mass rally in the capital, Niamey, but were you surprised by that at all?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Because frankly, power is derived from the people, obviously. And when this happened, let me go into a few things. I remember Chiani, his name, the general, the current leader, a statement that the military in Niger were making anyway, that when they were going after terrorists, Bazoum, the president, said to them, stop, don't. He was getting orders from the French not to go after the terrorists, and people are dying. Okay? So it therefore means that quite a few of the so-called democratically elected presidents across the continent are nothing but puppets, and that they are propped up by Western powers, not in the interest of the common persons or of the people, but in the interest of those, if you like, masters. Okay? And so there comes a time when the people have it up to here, and they say enough is enough. Because of course there have been infrastructural decay, the economy will be collapsing and all of that. And you know, Niger, of course, is being exploited every day. Their uranium, they're supposed to be a very rich country. The French are just exploiting them like they're exploiting the rest of Africa. You know, and people are getting educated. There's the internet, so you can get information. And so when the coup took place, why did the people not protest? Instead, the people were rejoicing, you know. And so I think that the rest of us should actually respect the wishes of the people. They are an independent nation. Whereas I'm not a supporter of military interregnum or coup, I do not think that that's the best way to take over power. But you must look at what, if we are talking about democracy, it therefore means what do the people want? If the people are fed up, it means they don't want the current administration. But what happens where the administration continues to impose itself on the people using the military to quell rebellion, and probably they're not, you know, elections or results are manipulated and things like that. So what you saw in Niger today is how the people feel. And if that's how the people feel, then I think the rest of us should be a bit more careful. We cannot cry more than the bereaved. You cannot be more Catholic than the Pope.
And the Pope. All right, then I like how, you set the tone of this conversation, because really and truly, when this coup, came into fruition, the question on the minds of a lot of people was, what was the intent? Why were we seeing this happening in Niger? And like you've also highlighted, there's the presence of, there's the military forces from the French, the US, even the US
EU.
and the EU.
Yeah.
And there are still several...
There are 4 military bases in Niger.
And we're still seeing several insurgent groups like Al-Qaeda, Islamic affiliates, and even Boko Haram continue to kill, the citizens of Niger.
Yes.
So when we look at the body language of the people, at this point, we saw them waving Russian flags and saying that they believe that if they're supported by Russia, that the Wagner Group would be better fighters of this insurgency. So when we look at the standpoint of ECOWAS now that has said, they gave them a week, I think it's going to run out this weekend, saying that they're going to come in with military force. And then us now seeing Burkina Faso and Mali and Guinea declaring their support for the coup in Niger. How do we begin to assess what is happening on the backdrop of this let's say deadline that ECOWAS has given Niger?
You see, I think ECOWAS spoke too quickly. The AU is there and has been more circumspect in the way it's looking and dealing with the matter. But I can understand why ECOWAS behaved the way it did, because the coup poses an existential threat to the current democratically elected leaders, in ECOWAS. Some of them feel if that succeeds, they might be next. I don't know, there's an infographic I sent. I don't know if it's ready yet. I would have liked to just explain something to us, something to do. If you look across Africa right now, when it comes out, I'll speak to it, but if you look at the continent right now, it's been divided effectively into two by what? Military, if you like, military hunters across the continent. From what you call it now, Guinea, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Chad, and Sudan. That's it.
Yes.
If you see the red, the red that you see there, these are all military regimes. Africa has been divided into two. You think it's an accident? Something is going on. What is happening here is that Africa has become the battlefield of the world powers right now. And because Africa remains the richest resource ground for the world economy, everybody is fighting for the heart and soul of the continent. Like what's happening in Niger right now. The EU have said they have enough uranium to last for a little while, but when that runs out, some industries are going to collapse in those places. Okay? So what is happening basically is Russia, I find this very interesting, whereas what is happening, they're good chess players, and so they are masters at this game. We're looking at the war in Ukraine. When Wagner, it was as if they were rebelling against Putin, and they suddenly wondered, so what happened? We got fooled. They wanted to use that to enter somewhere, and they did. Don't be fooled. The Russians know the game that they are playing, except that the way they are playing is in consultation with the rest of Africa. Remember, they wiped out debts of how many billions? I can't even remember the figure. Is it $23 billion?
Let's look up those numbers now. But I did
please,
hear
just so that I don't give the wrong figures. But billions of dollars wiped away. So they're not just talking, they're walking the talk. Okay? Along with China, you can see what they're doing. What has been happening is the Western powers we've respected all this while, all well and good, they're great and all that, but they have been, exploitative in their relationship with Africa. There has been no respect for Africans, and for the first time, Africans are beginning to deal with people who show them a little bit of respect, although they may also be exploiting, but the relationship is more like we sit on the table together, not like a master and a servant. Now, the West does not like this, but Russia and China, who are great allies, whether we see it or not, China may be talking with US and all that, but the truth is the alliance with Russia still remains the same. The communism that kept them together is that same thread that keeps them till tomorrow. Now, so what you see is a situation where it is NATO on the one hand versus what you call it now, Russia and China. China is just in the background, but they're supplying. They're there just giving all the necessary backup. So what Russia is doing right now is backing up, this military to take over. You remember, and what we need to be careful about again, you see, Wagner came into some of these countries, and people thought, when the West were pushing, they were sponsoring terrorism. For what I said to you earlier on, what happened in what the army were saying in Niger, that their own president was telling them not to go after the terrorists. Who does that? It therefore tells you that the West know what they're doing. They're promoting some of these people. I remember what Museveni said. I saw the video, so it's not like a second-hand story, where he talked about 6 African presidents. He didn't go, but he sent one of his ministers. They were going to Libya to broker peace, and they got a call from NATO saying what? Go back to where you're coming from. 6 presidents of independent African countries, and you're ordering them back. Who does that? And where is Libya today? So you can see that the things that have been happening have not really been in our best interest. For so long, the West has done what it has done, but a few more people are getting wiser. And let me tell you how they recruit some of their people as well. Some of these people, whether from the side of the West or Russia and the rest, when we send our military to go for training, whether it's in Sandoz, it's in Russia, or wherever, these guys get indoctrinated. For information, there are black Wagners now. When they come, you won't see the white man. You didn't see them in Niger. These are black Wagners, and there are many more. And so we have to be very careful as we jump into this war. I would think that a non-kinetic method is better. Let's dialogue. If you go militarily, the continent will be scattered. And as you can see from that belt there, it will just be them coming in one full force. ECOWAS which was your original question, is depleted right now. So there's no unity in ECOWAS anymore. And we are blocking Niger, our source of water for River Niger. Well,
Dr. Hai, you're mentioning now that non-kinetic approach would suffice.
In the immediate, yes.
But do we have examples where this has actually manifested? Concrete examples?
Well, have we done this before is a question I would also like to ask. Have we tried to go and militarily force? I know that in the Gambia, for instance, we might argue that Yahya Jammeh was forced to leave, but that was because he wasn't military. He was a civilian government president who didn't want to give up power. And so he was threatened and he left. Now, that's different from this. I don't know, and this is not, I'm not indicting our military, but quite frankly, I doubt that the morale and the unity of the Nigerian army is at its peak. I doubt. We don't have ECOMOG. ECOMOG is not, we used to have ECOMOG. So we had one force. Now you have to reconstitute, you know. So if we had that fighting force like we had before, you might say immediately deploy and all that. But we are battling things on so many fronts. We are battling Boko Haram. We still have not been able to deal with it. We are battling IPOB. We have not been able to deal with it. We are battling all sorts of, you know, things happening here. And if we allow, I heard the Vice President of America calling the ECOWAS president and our president say, "Oga, well done, no. Make sure say that will not happen." No. You don't. You are a president of an independent nation. You do not take dictations from them. Look at what is in your country's best interest. When all is said and done, Niger is still your brother. They're still your neighbors. If you go in there, it's ordinary citizens that you're going to kill. Should we not sit down and start dialoguing before threatening?
If I may, Shaita, pardon me.
Yes.
Based on what you said, looking at what's in our best interest,
Yes.
like the move that we made with cutting off power,
Yes.
and the Niger's coup leader has declared that he will not bow down to the pressure, and he's criticized those sanctions also imposed by West African leaders as illegal and
Yes.
inhumane.
Yes.
How far is too far in terms of our involvement?
Now, let me put it this way, and I think everyone can relate to this. If you have a kid or a younger one that respects you, you keep pushing them, they continue to respect you. The day they look you back in the eye and say to you, go to hell, you've lost it all. Do you agree with me? The fear of an action is more powerful than the action itself, because once the deed is done, in the manner of speaking, I excuse my language, once the deed is done, then there remained nothing else, so to say. I think that we should have just held the stick and say, we threaten, don't give a deadline. You might, okay, well, they've done it and all that, but it's not too late to back down. If we push and we lost it, like what Russia tried to do with Ukraine, they thought they would crush Ukraine immediately. It didn't happen that way. The minute you do that, you are demystified. And if we, as the giants of Africa, because ECOWAS is Nigeria right now, really, everybody is looking at us. They don't think the others are going to supply any ammunition or money or anything like that. They won't. We are battling with our economy right now. And then we're going to use our depleted resources to start fighting a war. Because the minute you do that, is a declaration of war. And let me also say something that maybe some of us may not be conscious of. I speak Hausa very well, and I know that most of the people you call Hausa, your security men, the people selling dollars to you, most of them, and I say most of them, are not Nigerians. Many don't even speak Hausa. They're Nigerians. Many of them. And so when you declare war on their country, be prepared. The person in front of you might slaughter you at night and disappear. Let's be careful about what we're doing. Our borders are porous. Right now we have a lot on our plate. Let's look at our internal problem and not worry too much. But I understand where the presidents are coming from. Like I said earlier, it's an existential threat to their own stay in power, because for them it's like, if it happens here and happens there and happens there, who knows, I might be next. And I saw a video where those I call the Black Wagners, one of them said, we're coming after you in Ghana. Ghana, you're next, Nigeria and all that. I get it. But what it simply means is, if you have the people behind you, you have nothing to fear. How do you get the people behind you? Put the right policies in place. Because no coup plotter comes when an economy is good. No coup plotter comes when everybody loves the government. They come when people are dissatisfied, when they start murmuring, and when, in fact, they begin to cry for a change. So
if we have the right people on our side, who are the right people? If all Biafrans pursue the same ideology of Biafra restoration, we are going to win. And on this note, we are going to come to the end of the program and see you sometime again tomorrow. Good night.